Hello and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Rachel Plummer. Most of my friends call me Ray, and my podcast is called Sugar Plum Robin. That's also the name I go by on Instagram, and also I have an Etsy shop with that name as well, which you can have a look at. So hello, welcome. If you're new, hello, it's really nice to see you. I know we've had a few new people join us over the last few weeks, and if you're not new, then welcome back. It is absolutely lovely to see you. So yeah, today I'm going to try and catch you up on some of my knitting, some of my other crafty things that I've been doing. I'm based in Edinburgh in Scotland, and it is lovely and bright and sunny today, and very, very cold. There's ice out on the streets, which is nice. It's making me feel very festive and like we're getting towards the Christmas season. And I have some Christmas knitting to share with you today. Like I said, I've got some other crafts. I also sew, and I do, well, a little bit of almost anything fibre related. I do needle felting and all sorts, but today it's mostly some knitting and a little bit of hand sewing that I'm going to share with you. So sit back and relax and grab your knitting or your crafting, maybe something to drink. I've got my special mug. This is my Cup of Courage mug, which a friend sent to me a little while ago, and I really love it. Every time I use it, I think of my friend, and it's really cute as well. And but I'm actually drinking Ribena in it instead of tea or coffee. I've been not very well the last week or so, just with a really minor cold, but it's one of those ones that sort of lingers and keeps going. It's not COVID. I'm all tested and sorted. It's just a bug that one of my kids has picked up somewhere and passed on to me very generously. So I'm just trying to keep up my fluids and sip lots of Ribena. I actually really like warm Ribena when I'm not very well. It reminds me of when I was little, and my mum would make me a warm Ribena with some honey stirred into it. So for those who don't know and are new to the podcast, I'm a poet. I write poetry for grown-ups and for children, and I love to start and end these podcast episodes with a poem, either by me or by somebody else, just a poem that I like. And today I've got two poems that are by somebody else's, just poems that I like. And so I'm going to start with this one. It's by a poet called Sarah Stewart, who's a Scottish poet. It's from this pamphlet called Glisk, and I'll put a link to where you can buy it unless it's sold out. It's print run. It was published a couple of years ago. It's a really lovely little pamphlet, and it's a beautiful book. I think Sarah is a really lovely writer. So the poem I want to share with you today is called The Arctic Arms, Dundee. Sociologists claim our quality of life peaked in 1978, the year Archie Gemmill scored a World Cup goal for Scotland. Sony invented the Walkman. Superman was playing in the cinemas. That summer, my parents went into a pub, ordered 2 pints. "We don't serve pints to ladies," the barman said. My mother did not flinch. Coolly, she asked for 2 halves, decanted them into a pint glass. I like to picture her, backlit by the jukebox, in the pub's smoky fug, raising that tarnished gold to her lips. So I think that the poems that I've chosen to read today are both poems that have a theme to do with parents and parenting. And I was drawn to them this week, I think, because this week is a bit of a kind of parenting challenge week for me. My little boy, Robin, he's 6 years old, and he's got autism and intellectual disability. And he has a minor surgery at the end of the week coming up, and I'm sure it will all be fine, but you know, it's just a little concerning as a parent, and because of his kind of challenges, he struggles a lot with going into hospital and with things around that. So I've been a little bit anxious about that, and I guess it's been on my mind, so it's sort of informed my poem choice today. But as always, I'm distracting myself from any stress with crafting. That's what I do. I just craft when I am in any way stressed so worried, which means that at the times when I'm particularly stressed and worried, a lot of crafting gets done, which is kind of a bonus, a silver lining to that particular cloud. So let's start today with what I'm wearing. I'm wearing this sweater, which is a pattern from Drops Design, so it's a free pattern. It's called Winter in the Apennines, and I've modified it slightly. The original pattern didn't have these, and there's another bit here that I added in as well. And I think in the original one it's a 2-colour design, and I've made it a 3-colour design or something like that. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. It's knit in what's it knit in? I want to say it's artisanal alpaca that this is, but I'll put it on the screen or in the description box below just to confirm what it is. I can't remember the colourway, but I think it's discontinued anyway, so you wouldn't be able to get it. So yeah, this was kind of a stash busting project that used up some very, very deep stash yarn that I had, and I knit it earlier this year. And it is so comfortable and it fits me really well. I'm super pleased with it. Sometimes I think when you have a free pattern, you can worry a little bit about, you know, how the fit's going to be, because obviously and understandably, if someone's putting out a pattern for free, they won't have necessarily spent a lot of money having it tech edited or spent a lot of time testing it. Sometimes it only comes in a limited range of sizes, so I think that's the trade-off when you're getting something for free. You can't really complain about something like that. But actually this one, it's a really lovely pattern, it fits me really well, and I'm super pleased with it. It's very comfy, and it's actually one of my most worn knitting projects that I've ever made for myself. So yeah, this is my Winter in the Apennines. And this hat, I've just been dropping my son off at school, and I was wearing this hat to keep myself warm, and I've just kept it on when I've got in so that I could show you. And it's I don't know if you can see, I'll take it off. You can see my messy hat hair. You can see it. It's a really lovely little beanie. It's knit in these like a cream coloured background, and then the 2 different shades of green, this very pale green, like a minty green, and then this darker green. And this is Drops alpaca. I really like alpaca wool. I know some people have a sensitivity to it, but I don't. And this pattern was the Mystery Knit Along 2020 from Sophia Camaborn, who does the Camabornia podcast. And this was from last year. So I knitted it about this time last year, well, I think in December. And it's a lovely design. I think in her original one she does it with red and green to make it very Christmassy, and I didn't want it to be so Christmassy because I wanted it to be more something I could wear at different points in the year than just the festive season. So I did it in these more muted colours, and I really love it. I wear it all the time. It's a really nice hat for Scotland because it's quite thin and it's quite small. It doesn't kind of come all the way down like some of my bigger hats do. So it's really nice to have a little hat like this. It just covers the tops of my ears. It's really nice to have a hat like this in my hat box, because sometimes you don't want that really big hat, you just want something that's going to keep you a little bit warm, and this is the perfect thing for that. I wear it all the time. It's one of my most worn things as well, so I'm wearing quite a lot of my frequently worn knits. So that's what I'm wearing. Okay, so we'll start with some finished objects, of which I have quite this is my cat Willow. Willow, are you saying hello to the people? Are you saying hello to the people? Willow loves knitting too. She's a knitting cat. She loves yarn. Are you saying hello? Willow is a rescue cat who came to us from the Cats Protection here in Edinburgh a few years ago. And she is very lovely. She's so affectionate. Actually, she came from a home where she'd been taken away because there was kind of a domestic violence situation, which is a real shame. But it doesn't seem to have affected her. She's super friendly and super gentle. She's a lovely kitty. Are you just going to settle in here and join in? Oh, that's so lovely. You're going to be my co-host. This is my co-host. She's a connoisseur of yarn. She likes to chase my yarn around when I'm knitting. Oh, Willow, are you saying hi to the people? Okay, so yeah, we'll start with some finished objects, then whips, and then I'll talk about some other crafty things that I've been doing. So, where to begin with finished objects? Well, I mentioned last time about Christmas stockings. I sell Christmas stockings in my Etsy shop, and what I do is I use a base design by, I think her name is Jennifer Hole, and the pattern's called the Falling Snow Stockings, but I just use that kind of as a base, and then when people get in touch to commission a stocking, they tell me what kind of designs they'd like, what colours they'd like, what name they want on it, and I draw up a design for them and send it to them, and once they're happy with it, I knit it up. So I have so many stockings. I have piles and piles of them, more than this even currently ready to go, but some of them are packaged up already because they're being sent today. And I also have some that have already been sent out, but I thought I'll show you some of the ones that I've been doing in their various stages of completion. So here's one for a little girl called Elena with an owl on. I actually made one for her brother a couple of years ago, and then baby Elena has been born and the mum has requested another one. So this is Elena's one. That's one. You see they're nice and big. Here is one for a little girl called Jemima. That's a stocking for Jemima, with ships. It's like the 3 ships from the Christmas Carol. I saw 3 ships, and then some holly. I like this one. I think the pattern's really nice and Christmassy. That was commissioned by her dad. What have we got here? Oh, I think I showed this one last time, maybe. This is for Estella. It's with a swan, but this one's going in a set, which is why it's not been sent yet. So we've got this one that's going with it, which is for Arabella with cats and hearts. And this one is also going in the same set for Nina. And then there's another one which I'm partway through knitting. So yeah, these are some of my Christmas stockings. I've got 4 more in packages, all packaged up, ready to go, and I've already sent out a few as well. So it's kind of the endlessness of this time of year. It's all Christmas stockings all the time. So that's been the main thing I've been knitting. Just so many stockings. And I still have a bunch more to go. So hopefully I'll get as many of them possible done before Christmas. I always have a caveat on my Etsy shop that any ones that are ordered after a certain time, I can't guarantee they'll be there in time for Christmas, because there's only so much I can do. There's only so much knitting I can handle in a day. And yeah, and the last couple of years I've really worked myself to bits to try and get them all done by Christmas, and it's kind of ruined Christmas somewhat for me because it's just been so much work. So this year I'm trying to be really clear with people that if you order after a certain date, I can't promise you that it'll be there in time for Christmas. So that's my stockings. And then also another commission that I had was to make a Christmas sweater vest, which I think I showed you the beginnings of last time. It's for an adult, a lady called Sue in America, and who is very lovely. And I finished it. I actually finished it once and then had to rip back the neck ribbon because it wasn't looking right, and then I redid that. So yeah, this is my next finished object, and I just make up the pattern for this. It's quite simple, and it's very lovely. I really love it. So it says here, "Be merry," and this one says "Frosty." So that's what she wanted instead of her name. She wanted these things to be written on it. You see the front, and here's the back. We've got these kind of snowflake designs, and then the houses, Christmas trees, holly, and then just some patterns, and then Santa's sleigh and reindeer. And this is it all finished. So I'm going to post this out today. This is part of the reason why I chose today to podcast, is because I'm going to post it today so it gets to her in time. Willow, you leave this alone. That is not for you. So yeah, it's really nice. It was a really fun thing to do, and I really hope she likes it. I put a lot of work into it, so I really hope she does. There's always the anxiousness when you're sending things to people. Let's show you the inside. I really like to see the inside of colourwork. There we go. It's the inside. So yeah, there's always the anxiety when you're making something to send to somebody and you think, oh no, what if they don't like it? I really hope she does like it. You'd think after so many years of doing this on Etsy that I wouldn't be anxious anymore about it, but I still am. I still hope she really likes it, and I hope it's what she wanted and that it's perfect and that she has a nice Christmas. So those are my finished objects. So I mean, what are we gonna say? I've got those 5 here. 5 stockings and a sweater. So 6 finished objects, and I've also got the other 4 stockings that are waiting on being posted out. And I finished a lot of things, but they're all very Christmassy. And I'm aware that we're still in November, so apologies if that's a bit early for you. I think for me, Christmas season begins with Advent, begins with December. But because I do all the stockings and things, I'm always like elbows deep in Christmas from about September. So works in progress, basically more stockings. I think, so how many more do I have to do? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 that came in before the deadline, I think, for Christmas delivery. 6 or 7, maybe 6, but that came in before the deadline for Christmas delivery. So those ones are ones I definitely will get done. And then I have another, I think, 12 that people have ordered, where I think it's doubtful at this point that they will arrive in time for Christmas. But we'll see. I'm trying not to stress too much about it, but I do stress about it even still, because apparently that's just who I am. I just stress about everything. So, but other than that, I also have my Mariposa sweater, which I talked about last time. I've not done very much work on this at all because I have been, this is my son's book bug bag. In Scotland we have this lovely scheme. Well, this is the Read Write Count. So the Scottish Book Trust sends out books, free books, to children at different stages of their kind of education. And this is the primary 2 one. My son's in primary 2 this year, and he got some books, and it comes in this little bag, and I've been using it to keep my project in. So this is the Mariposa sweater, which I love so much. It smells gorgeously of sheep, but also wood smoke, because I've been knitting it around the fire so much in the woods. My daughter's home educated, and we spend a lot of time with other home educated families out in the woods, sat around a fire, keeping warm, and I knit. So this is this sweater. You can see it's nearly done. It's getting there, and I just have to finish this sleeve, and it will not take me very long. It's not a Sleeve Island situation. I'm not stuck. I just don't have time. Yeah, with all the stocking knitting, and I really would like to have it finished soon, but we'll see how I go with all the stockings. I'm very, very eager to be back to my non-Christmas knitting, back to my regular stuff, and I want to finish this so much. I want to wear it. It's so nice. It's a lovely pattern. The stitch pattern is so simple but so lovely. It works beautifully with this yarn. So this yarn is West Yorkshire Spinners. I think it's Blueface Leicester, or is it Jacobs? I think it's Blue Face Leicester, but I'll confirm that in the description. But it's lovely, lovely sheepy, unprocessed kind of yarn. It's just been spun up, but because it's not been dyed, it still smells very lovely and sheepy, and I love it. It's just really lovely. It's unbelievably soft for non-superwash wool. There's no scratchiness or prickle to it at all. It's lovely, and this pattern is a dream. It was super satisfying and gentle to knit. It's one of those knits that has felt kind of so soothing and like therapy. So I'm not in a huge rush to finish it in that sense, because I love to be working on it, but I really want to be wearing it now, and I just haven't had the time. And even taking it out right now and holding it, I just want to knit it. It's the complete antithesis to all my really bright, vibrant, slightly artificial, slightly cheesy Christmas knits, and I love them both in very different ways. I really do. So yeah, but I'm missing it. It's lovely and squishy. You can see this is how much I have left, which is actually pretty perfect. I'm trying to remember how many skeins I had. I think I had 4, and it was a really inexpensive yarn. You know me, if you do know me, if you've been watching, you know that I do like generally to use quite budget friendly yarns. I just don't have the budget to spend huge amounts on yarn generally, and I have splashed out and treated myself to some really lovely little treats this past year of yarn, which maybe I shouldn't have. So I have like a few skeins of really precious yarn, and I will maybe show you. Maybe I'll do like an acquisitions section next time, because I'm aware I haven't really done that in a while. I like watching other people's acquisitions videos. I know that some people don't though, so I've not been that focused on them in my videos, especially recently. But I do have some really lovely yarn, and I would love to mention particularly like where the yarn has come from and who made it and who sold it and things, because generally it's yarn that I really like and really like where I've got it from. So I want to recommend that to you. So that's all of my works in progress, really. I mean, I have my stocking that I'm knitting on right here, but it's not very far in, so it doesn't really look like much yet. Let's see if I can fish it out. Oh, it's a bit tangled. Here we go. This one has got bows at the top, so I'm just knitting the bows. I don't know if you can see it very well. This is like a very pale minty green, but I think it's coming across quite blue in the video. So it's got bows at the top, and this is the one that's going to go with these stockings. They're going to go together. You see the bows here and the bows here. So it takes me generally, I can do a stocking in a day if I do basically nothing else, but I have housework and things to do, so generally it takes me at least 2 days, probably more comfortably 3. I tried to time it, and it takes me between 6 and 8 hours to knit, depending on how quickly I'm knitting and how tired I am and how many mistakes I'm making. So yeah, sort of an average of about 7 hours. So that is pretty much all the knitting content of things that I've made, things that I'm wearing, and things that I'm working on. But I thought I would share with you just a little peek at some other crafts that I've been doing. So if you're only here for knitting, then feel free to leave at this point. That's totally fine, and it was lovely to see you, and I hope you're having a great time and that you're enjoying the crisper weather if you're in the northern hemisphere, or the warmer weather if you're in the southern hemisphere. I am very jealous of you right now because I'm missing the sunshine. It's bright today, but generally Scotland in winter is incredibly dark and overcast, and I miss the light so much. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful time if you're heading off at this point, but if not, then stick around. I've got some little hand sewing things. So my daughter, Audrey, who's 10 and home educated, she belongs to a home ed book group, and the book group is lovely. It's one of my favourite things, because what we do in the book group is we read a different book each month, and then we have kind of our book club meetup where we discuss the book and also have kind of a celebration kind of event or activity that's themed around whatever book we've been reading. So say, for example, in the summer we read the Famous Five, the first Famous Five book, I think, as our book of the month, and then all the grown-ups organised this kind of mystery game for the children to solve. So we all played different characters. I was like the governess, and another one was the cook, and another was the maid, and someone was the gardener, and so on. And then like the Duchess's jewels were stolen, and the children have to discover who stole them by like finding clues and interviewing all the characters and suspects and kind of deducing who must have done it. And it was so much fun. Or like say another time we read Alice in Wonderland, and we had a big tea party with all, you know, playing cards and big teapots full of different fruit teas and things. And it's just really fun. We have a great time with it, and we always just really enjoy ourselves. And last month, or really this month, November, we were doing How to Train Your Dragon by Cressida Cowell. I don't know if you know of it. If you have children, you maybe have. Maybe you know the movies, which I think are quite different from the books. But the books are fantastic, and they're some of Audrey's very favourites in the whole world. She loves them to pieces. So for How to Train Your Dragon, for our book club event, we had a kind of Viking themed day. We pretended the kids were at Viking school for the day, and they had to come and do their Viking lessons, and they got like to choose their Viking names and make themselves swords and shields, and they did advanced rudery lessons where they had to insult each other and be like, you slimy pile of fish guts and things. And it was great fun, and they made little books of their own, and they discussed the book, and we had Viking themed food. And then the activity that I ran was that, so in the book they have to creep into a cave full of sleeping dragons and steal one of them each to find their own dragon, their own baby dragon. So I had them, I brought pieces of felt that I'd cut out, and I had them sew their own dragons. So I'll show you the dragons that I made. And they're here. This is the first one. And they're just made out of felt. And the pattern, I will put a link to it in the description box below, because the pattern was really fantastic, and it comes with these two different options. So this is the other one, which is a dragon which is just coming out of its egg. And it's got little wings on the back. But this one, I don't know if you can see, this one can stand up, which is really cute. So these are the two dragons that I made, and they were so easy and sweet and fun to do, and such a lot of fun, and the kids really enjoyed it. And initially I was worried about how long it would take me, because there's about, I think, 12 children in the group. I was worried about how long it would take me to cut out all of these pieces by hand. But I've mentioned before that my husband Ian does woodwork, and he has like a special laser cutter tool. It's like a saw for cutting out precision pieces of wood, but it uses a laser to do it, so it's very precise, and it cuts through wood or like acrylic, plastic, rubber, anything, and it makes these incredibly precise pieces, wooden pieces for his projects. And he specifically makes sort of things like wooden puzzles and things, so he needs like really precise pieces. And he said that he could cut the felt pieces using that laser. So he cut all the felt pieces really precisely for all of the children, which ended up taking a lot less time than it would have taken if I'd cut them all by hand. And friends, let me tell you, it got me started. So when I came home from doing this, I just had such a good time making these little dragons, and I thought they were so cute. And I had never really done much embroidery before, but I really liked the little tiny bits of embroidery that were on here. And actually I think these patterns are a really good like starting point into felt sewing and embroidery, because by the end of them you've done a lot of different kinds of stitches. You've done French knots and back stitching and straight stitching, blanket stitch. You've attached these pieces on here with what do they call it, applique stitch. So there's like a lot of different stitches going on, a lot of different techniques, and by the time you've done them, you're more comfortable maybe with it. I certainly was. So then I have been just a bit non-stop. I've been making some Christmas bits. So these are some little Christmas stockings that I've been making, made out of felt, with little designs just appliqued on. And this is so basic, and again I will put a link to this pattern because it's a pattern I got on Etsy, and each one is like a properly functional stocking which you can put things in. So I was thinking I might make a bunch of these, and there's other designs to this as well. I might make a bunch of these to put on a little garland. Right now I've been hanging it on we have like a little seasonal display, but and then I think I might put little treats in, little candy canes and chocolate coins and things for guests to come and like have a little treat. So that might be quite cute for Christmas. So that's the first thing, some little stockings. And then this is a gift that I've been making for a friend of mine, and it's these Scandinavian Hearts. So this is the first one, it's the big one. And the idea is that they'll be strung in a line when they're all finished, which they all are now. Now they're all finished. So here's another one with a mushroom. You know I love mushrooms so much. I think that's so cute. And here, a little one with some little deer. And this last one with some leaves and Christmas trees. So I think these are just so precious. They're just beautiful, and the pattern again will be in the description. It's the same pattern maker who did the patterns for the dragons. Whoops. For the dragons, they're from the same pattern writer, and I think that all the patterns she does are really well put together, really well thought out. She guides you through how to do all the embroidery, and there's a little sort of guide to the different embroidery stitches on every pattern that she makes, which is so useful. And this was such a dream to make. I have been addicted to these, and I'm going to make more, but this is going to go together, so it'll be in like a row and a string that you can hang up for my friend as a little Christmas present. And I'd say that like each one of these took me about a day to do, because there's quite a lot of detail on there, and I was also trying to make my stockings and things, and I'm still learning. So each one took maybe about a day to make, and were very satisfying. Whereas these ones maybe only take an hour or so to do. They're quick and easy and very cheerful. So I'm going to be making some of these, I think, with some of the kids, because I think they could definitely do this and would find it easier than the dragons. The dragons were quite involved, and maybe slightly overestimated what we could achieve in the time that we had. The book club thing lasts for a few hours, but still it was, most of them had not finished by the time they went home, and they had to take all the supplies home to finish it. But that was okay. These safety eyes on it. I love these little dragons. I really want to write little stories to go along with them. So yeah, that's my final craft project of the day was those. So I've been doing other sewing bits and bobs as well, because my son's going into hospital. I made him some new pajamas to wear, because he can wear his own pajamas that have got space rockets on, and then I made some kind of matching ones for my daughter as well, because they love to wear matching pajamas. It's one of their favourite things ever, is when they wear matching pajamas, which is so cute, and I hope they never grow out of that. I hope they're always like, even when they're grown up, I hope that they're wearing their matching pajamas. I think it's so cute. And that's about all that's been going on with me recently as well. Pretty much just focusing on Robin and trying to prepare for his visit to the hospital, and he'll be fine. It's such a minor surgery, but yeah, it's just been on my mind a bunch. I suppose that's normal. Yeah, so I have a bunch of knitting plans, but I'm not going to go into them in too much detail at the moment, because I think I'll save that for a later episode where I can really sort of dig into it and maybe show you some of the yarn that I have. But mostly my plan is to get back to my works in progress that are not Christmas related. Like my Mariposa jumper, and also like my faraway tree jumper that I'm making for Finn, and just a few other bits and bobs that I've got going on at the moment that I really want to get done or get back to working on. Like I said, I really enjoy the Christmas knitting, but it's good to have balance. And when you're doing all one kind of knitting, I think, well, I'm certainly the kind of person, I've never been a monogamous knitter because I like to knit on different projects depending on my mood and to keep myself kind of from getting bored with any one thing. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to my other projects, my chanterelle especially. It's so nearly finished and I just want to get it done. I will get back to them. So I've sort of promised myself that as soon as all my stocking knitting is done, as soon as we're done with that, I'm going to get back, finish some of my works in progress, and then start some new things. Okay, so I will finish up here. I'm going to finish with my second poem. It's a really interesting poem and I hope you'll like it. I think I've chosen quite different poems from usual today. And I hope you like this one, and then I hope you have a really great couple of weeks after we say goodbye here, and I hope you're getting lots of lovely knitting done, that you're not too stressed by Christmas knitting or Christmas preparations if you celebrate it. And and I will look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks with more updates. So this poem is by William Letford, who's a Scottish poet. Again, two Scottish poets today, from this collection Dirt, which is published by Carcanet. This is one of my favourite poems of his, and it's an interesting one. It's called Monuments of the Mind. 3 men sit at the kitchen table. My grandfather smokes Golden Virginia. Making a roll-up has become his ritual. His fingers help him think. So that's what he does. He teases tobacco from his tin. My father smokes silk cut and has a certain way of holding a cigarette, trapping it at the base of his first 2 fingers and lifting it to his mouth so his hand covers the lower half of his face. I don't smoke, but there is a bowl of soup in front of me. Both men like to see me eat. The room has been stained by 2 lifetimes of tobacco smoke and doesn't physically exist. But it's where I come for advice. In fact, both men no longer exist, but their voices are as familiar as my own failings. I slam my spoon onto the table. Well, if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is. That's the way it is, says my grandfather. My father nods his head. He says, that is the way it is. Goodbye.